SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with 15 points in the final 5 minutes of that fourth quarter. The most points in the final 5 minutes of a finals win in at least 50 years.
The East is up for grabs. So the Magic are going out, getting the guy who fills a hole that needs filled, and we'll see what happens. Like,
filling it right now, not 4 years from now when Haliburton and Tatum are back.
100%. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Well, now you've got the aprons. Keep hearing about these aprons. And no, I'm not talking about the one Brad wears while he's free balling it on Saturday making eggs.
You suck horribly at your job.
Damn.
You're really bad at it. I don't care if they play the same position. If you have two guys going that high in the draft and you have a losing record, you're a loser.
Welcome to High Fiber Sports. Easy to digest because we're all full of shit.
Welcome in, beautiful people, to the hottest new sports podcast on the block, High Fiber Sports. I'm your host, Matt Cobold, here with Nolan, Doug, and Brad McDonald. Brad, it's been a couple of weeks, brother. How you doing?
Oh, man, it feels like it's been forever, but I feel well-rested, relaxed, excited to get back into it again. I think we all kind of needing a break, you know. Doug's still recovering from his breast reduction surgery. Matt, from your third testicle removal. Luckily, the reason why we got Nolan on here is he took Doug's extra breasts and added them to his since his were indented. So we all kind of had to recover. And for me, it was Father's Day, and I used to travel a lot, so I like to disappear that week just in case.
Oh, just in case anybody comes calling.
Well, now I'm sad I didn't get Matt's extra testicle. I didn't know that was on the table.
So this week, we got one of my college best friends back in the day. Nolan and I lived in the same fraternity together.
Rap boys?
Might have shared housing and other things over the years.
I shaved your back once. He purred like a walrus.
Nolan and I partied one too many times back in the day at Iowa State, and he is one of the biggest sports nuts and one of the most knowledgeable sports people, and one of the people that I enjoy insulting more than my mother, honestly.
I thought you were just going to say you enjoyed me, and then I was going to say that's bullshit.
No, I'm not going to lie on here. Yeah. My favorite part of you is how much I hate you. Yeah. Duh.
Well, at least you have a favorite part of me.
Yeah. It's not your face.
One guy we haven't heard from yet tonight on the crew, our MLB expert, Doug. Doug, what's going on tonight, man?
Glad to be here, guys, and glad to have Nolan on, too. I will, all the jokes before this are funny, but the one thing about Nolan is you can throw a joke his way, and he's one of the quickest dudes I know to throw it back at you. So, Nolan, good to have you on, man. Glad you're here.
Great to see you, Doug.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I wish you were dead, but...
Nolan's repping that smooth Boston Red Sox City Connect sweater. We got a big trade to talk about. You know, it happened a week and a half ago, but it was a big one with Devers we want to talk about later. Of course, we got to talk about the NBA Finals. Brad, anything before we get into the sports discussion this evening?
Nah, I just hope all your stitches are healed up. Let's get rocking and rolling, fellas.
My third nut was removed, you said.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a recovery. You got to be patient with me.
Hey, some of us are blessed. Good for you, brother. I barely have one.
Let's get into these NBA Finals because they went 7 games, fellas. What more can you ask for in NBA Finals than going 7 games? Unfortunately, my Indiana Pacers, they couldn't prevail. OKC got us 4-3 for their first ever championship. I'm not counting that one for the Seattle Supersonics, 1979 or whatever. I'm not counting that for the Thunder. Huge congrats to the Thunder. Maybe the biggest story coming away from that game, of course, Tyrese Haliburton, that Achilles. We'll get into that for a second, in a second. But I think the big momentum-changing game for me was Game 4. As you fellows know, I went into Indianapolis for that game. Didn't go to the game, but I was in the atmosphere. Shout out to my guy Brian Windhorse, Windy, ran into him. But Pacers, you guys shout out my guy Wendy. Of course.
Oh, dude, I saw the video. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. Up 2-1 in the series, the Pacers are going into Game 4. OKC shot 3 of 17 from 3 in this game. A team hadn't shot that badly from 3 and won a finals game since the Lakers in 2010. Pacers hit 8 more threes, plus 24 from deep. Up 7, Indiana was in the fourth quarter to go up 3-1. Guess what, fellas? The MVP, he comes out to play. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, with 15 points in the final 5 minutes of that fourth quarter. The most points in the final 5 minutes of a finals win in at least 50 years. Fellas, I want to talk about SGA. 32.7 points per game this year. That's the highest scoring average in a title-winning season in NBA history. Barely beating out MJ. Oklahoma City, like I said, shout out to them, hats off. This was a juggernaut, fellas. 68 wins. 68 wins in the regular season. They totaled 84, counting the postseason. That's tied for the third most ever wins in a single season with the 97 Bulls. The 96 Bulls had 87, and the 2016 Warriors lead that list with 88. The Thunder are the second youngest champion ever behind the Blazers in 1977, Bill Walton. And also, the Thunder had a plus 1247 point differential in the regular and postseason combined. That's the best in NBA history. Brad, I'm throwing it to you here first, brother. Thunder, Pacers, 4-3. Shout out to OKC. Give me your thoughts also on our guy, Tyrese.
If you go back our episodes, I said this from the beginning. I really did think the Pacers would, or not the Pacers, the Thunder would win the whole thing. And then I went all homer because Tyrese Haliburton is now my favorite player ever in NBA history because we've never had someone from Iowa State represent this hard. And so I have to love him. I can't say I'm converting fully Pacers fan, whatever, but he's definitely my favorite player. But maybe someday, we'll see. But yeah, I was picking with the heart when I said Pacers in 6, but I truly did think the Thunder had built over the years all the draft picks. Presti has built like a fucking absolute indestructible force for the next several years. They're going to have to trade these guys, and then they still got draft picks coming in. They'll be fine. I mean, they'll pick the ones they want to keep, and they'll pay like 3 max guys, and they'll cycle around first-round picks for the next 8 years. Mm-hmm. So, like, what they did, the Pacers, man, talk about a Herculean effort just to do what they did. The fact that Haliburton was dealing with this for much longer than we probably know about. And the fact that he got, game 6, I'm like, oh, wait, maybe it's not that bad. Nah, I think he was just adding the right tweak. This was going to happen. We've seen it. Tatum, Dame, that's just in the last year. So, yeah. Well, I just meant, in the last year with the other guys, but then Durant, yeah. So, use your fucking ears when I'm talking about stuff.
I don't listen to what you say.
Yeah, shocking. Well, nothing's changed after, 15 fucking years. But yeah, I was rooting for Haliburton. I wanted them to win, but Oklahoma City clearly had the most talented, the most deep, the youngest, the most versatile. I mean, they're 7-footers are shooting threes. And, it seemed unstoppable. The fact the Pacers took them to 7, I thought it was a miracle to begin with. I was rooting for it, whatever, but sad day for Haliburton. I love the fact that he just fucking went all in. He's like, whatever, we win it. If I blow it out trying, I wouldn't have known if I didn't try.
Respect.
So, respect, for sure.
Big respect there. Doug, I'm going to throw it to you here next. Haliburton, that crazy run that he took our Pacers on. Thunder winning. Now, recently you said on this podcast, 5 rings for OKC within the next 15 years. We're already 1 down. You're feeling good about that, right?
That was me.
Well, I think he agreed.
Oh,
Brad,
okay.
Brad, you said it. Doug, you agreed. Give me your thoughts on this 7-game series.
I did agree. I did also say Thunder in 7.
Hey, good pick.
So I'm going to go ahead.
The only one that got it right.
Yep.
The only one that got it right.
Yep. I'm going to preface it, or not preface it, but I'm also going to add on to it that that Haliburton injury was super detrimental because he started out so hot. He had 9 points in the first. Oh well, he only played 7 minutes. He came out scorching, right?
Deep, deep.
Yeah, so everything when that game started pointed towards the game that Haliburton needed to play well in, and the injury happened, right? But on the same token, I asked the last episode we did, I asked, when is this going to run out? Will it run out? Now, it did run out. If Haliburton stayed healthy, who knows? I could point. I'm a Niners fan. We could talk about injuries. I could talk about it until next year. But something happened, right? And Oklahoma City came out. They won the championship. I agreed with Brad. Well, I don't know if I agree with him. I have to go back and look. But I lean towards the 5 championships in 15 years. Here's one, okay? Whether it's injury, stuff happens, I don't know. Like, Nolan's going to talk about Tatum. I know he is. Because the Celtics were somebody who we thought would go super deep. We had the Pacers kind of rise up above that, and Haliburton goes down. But hats off to OKC. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, Haliburton went down, so OKC won. OKC did incredible things this year. I think we all agreed they had the deepest, youngest, most energetic team. They were trouble from the start. I don't know how the rest of the game would have went on. Nobody's ever going to know how the rest of the game would have went on if Haliburton would have stayed in. So congrats to the Thunder. But there's number one, Brad. And I think your prediction with how they're set up is very interesting now with these young guys. They're going to have to pay them, trade them. We don't know. They got draft picks. So we could see the start of something here, which is super interesting. But Haliburton is a dude, and he's a guy who I know everybody's rooting for in the NBA, and then also Iowa State guys. They're so pumped about him, and they should be. He's super young. He's going to come back. He's going to be fine, just like Tatum. He's going to come back. He's going to be fine, and we'll see where everything falls. But OKC in 7, I called it. Don't want to brag because we kind of have that Haliburton thing. It's kind of a cheap shot, but I did say in 7.
Did I break it?
I did say in 7. Did I break it? I don't know. Did I break it?
Right?
Definitely a tough one, fellas. We had a halftime lead. Lead in that game. On the road, Game 7, that's tough. Like you said, Brad, they're going to pick their guys. I think it's going to be SGA, J-Dub, Chet, and they're just going to cycle those role players.
100%.
Nolan, throwing to you here. What do you think about the Thunder championship? Maybe a little bit about the Pacers. And also give me your thoughts on, Tyrese tore his Achilles. Your guy Tatum, Damian Lillard, like you said, Brad, all 3 in these playoffs. They all 3 wear the number 0. What's your thoughts on that, Nolan?
Well, that's obviously the tin hat foil of the cabal that's running the world that is definitely doing that.
Aliens.
Can't have nice things.
Yeah, math, science.
No, it's heartbreaking. Iowa State guy, and here's the whole thing: Shea, Tyrese, the best guys out there. You can't hate them for anything. They're great guys. Watching the highlights of the parade with Shea running around in the crowd when he didn't have to be, and just the enthusiasm with all that and those young guys. You can't ask for. I think we'll probably get into it here a little bit later. Some guys with maybe a little bit of questionable character, and maybe some folks like to hate. But those 2 guys aren't on that list anywhere near it, and so it's just heartbreaking to see him go down like that because, as Doug said, it's the what ifs. However, I'm gonna take it. I'm not gonna rehash the points that Brad and Doug put together here, other than to say, it all signs pointed to OKC, their youth. How good Shea's season have been. We went through the stats. You're in the era of MJ and Kobe. all that stuff was on the wall, and then just the Cinderella of Haliburton. It's what we love about March Madness. It's what we love about sports. So I'm gonna take it a couple different routes, and then at the end I want to throw it back to you, Matt, as a Pacers fan. But one of the things here I think we'll get into a little bit when we talk some of the cap stuff that Boston's dealing with. That might come back a little bit to even out that 5 championships in 15 years. But I'm interested with all the draft picks. But a couple things with that is one of the big things for the Thunder this year, defense. Defense wins championships. They had a historically good defense. You talked about the point differential, their individual defenders, their team defense, and for a bunch of young guys, that's usually not something you see in the NBA is a good team defense from a bunch of young guys. A lot of good individual guys when they're young.
Yeah.
But as a team, you don't generally see that kind of rotation, that exotic offense in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Especially when the big boys come to town, the star players, and the Thunder just did it in and out. They took down the Joker, took down Haliburton when he couldn't have been hotter, all of those things. So that's what points to what Brad and Doug's prediction is if you've already got that sets you up no matter what guys you interchange later. That's a good system. That's good coaching. That's good culture. I think Brad would probably say heat culture, but I mean, that's right there. So with that, they got some hard decisions coming up. Lou Dort makes a lot of money for a guy who shoots threes at will and doesn't shoot them that well, but a dog on defense.
Look at his percentage. Recently.
He's streaky. He's streaky.
What did he shoot this year?
I don't know what his percentage is, but that dude will miss 7 in a row and keep chucking like he's Klay Thompson. And so you got him. You got Isaiah Hartenstein, their backup center. And you might say, backup center, that's a dime a dozen. That dude rebounds. He plays tough D.
Tough.
Those guys are coming up on big $20+ million salaries over the next couple of years. Now, like Brad said, you could run them out of town, replace them with first-round draft picks, which is a fantastic way to go. And that leaves you free to pay all the other guys and not get into some of the cap stuff we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But you never know. When you mess with those guys, you think about the role players throughout history on good teams. Love them or hate them, this Draymond. You had Rodman with the Bulls run. Those guys, once they go, you try to replace them, and that glue just doesn't fit. The other big thing is just the parity. Talk about Tatum. Talk about Luka going to the Lakers. All this stuff. We're going to talk about some trades here in a minute that shook up the balance. It's hard in the NBA to repeat that many times. And so I think they're the best poised team to do it. They've got a good foundation with the defense, but I'm interested to see some of those things shake out as we go forward. But my question back to you with that all-time defense, Matt, I had to tune back in after Hallie went down, even after I recovered from that, because it was the TJ McConnell show breaking down one of the best defenses historically ever, and he was making them look bad. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my first thought is Lou Dort here.
What's that? What's
That's
that?
pretty good. That's
What's
a good
that?
percentage.
What's that? I think is that bad? Did I break
Look
it?
at it. Look at it.
Is that look at it?
Hey, I
Look
didn't
at
argue
it.
his percentage.
TJ McConnell, he's such a freaking dog, guys. Maybe 6 foot, 6'1" at the most. He picks you up 94 feet. He's tough to stay in front of. He's from Pittsburgh, but he feels like an Indiana boy. He feels like he's homegrown. Goes to Duquesne. Who goes to Duquesne and goes to the NBA, fellas? Yeah, he transferred to Arizona.
Hey, trivia question. Anybody know where Duquesne is? Because I don't.
It's in Pennsylvania.
Is it?
It has a Q in it.
Yeah.
It's probably
You know
Quaker,
that.
isn't it?
And a D.
But
You might be right. I don't know how to spell. I'm not going to argue with you.
TJ McConnell, he's a guy I'll go to battle with anytime. He might be the best backup point guard in the league. Could he fill that role for Hallie? Of course, he's not an all-star. Of course, doesn't have that clutch gene like Hallie does. But he can fill a role there. He can play 30, 32 minutes a game as the starting point guard next season while Hallie's recovering. But TJ McConnell, he set records for what he did coming off the bench in the finals. Like, he's a special player. He's a dog. I'm all about TJ.
Yeah.
But a lot of 5 championships in 15 years for the Thunder discussion. People out there, we got a poll on YouTube. You can go vote whenever you want. It's posted there. But yeah, hell of a run here from my Pacers, the underdog story. The most popular bet on this final series was a 4-1 gentleman sweep for the Thunder. The second most popular was a fucking sweep. Like, no one gave us a chance.
Wow.
Underdogs against the Cavs. Brad out here calling a gentleman sweep for Cleveland. Underdogs against New York. Underdogs
me
against
wrong.
Thunder. Road wins, 20-point comebacks, buzzer beaters. It was the most fun NBA playoff run in my lifetime. I had more fun than the Reggie years, than the Paul George and Big Roy Hibbert years. This was so much fun. I love Haliburton. So much respect for this dude going out, knowing the risk that he took, but I feel like he put his body on the line for me. And for that, I got the total utmost respect for Tyrese Haliburton. Fellas, any more discussion on the finals before we move on?
I'm with you, Matt. Everybody counted the Pacers out every single series, and they made it all the way to Game 7 of the finals. And I think that says a ton. And I think that puts more of a emphasis on this injury to Haliburton, because he's been a part of literally all of the doubts, right?
Most overrated. Voted most overrated player.
Most overrated player. And he doesn't have the stats. Like, you look at the stats, it's like, oh, yeah, like, what is Tyrese done? But this guy is the heartbeat of the team. And I think we can all agree on that. Like, he is the heart and soul of this team. And so it sucks that he went down in that fashion so early, starting so hot. And I hate to sit here and be like, what if? What if? Because we can all play that game with any team all the time. But, dude, like you said, they were doubted every series. They got to the finals, Game 7. It sucks. We'll see what happens when he comes back and this Pacers team as they move on. But congrats to the Thunder.
Congrats to the Thunder. Nolan, quick, last word from you.
I think the biggest thing here is just excitement. You know, not to rehash any of those points, but this is why we're here. This is why we're talking about sports. I'm excited for the future. And this is what we want sports to do. We want sports to make us feel something.
Yeah.
And this is we're going to talk about some other stuff, and we're going to crack some jokes, picking on some folks. But there's nothing but feel good out of this, except for, the what if with Haliburton there. You feel bad for the guy, but Shea going and giving him a hug right after he wins a title, worried about the future of Haliburton, worried about the human in it. And just the fact that we get to talk about some feel good stuff with that in the face of that tragedy of him having that accident there. But that's just where I'm at. Excitement. There's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot to dissect. It's not, oh, ho hum, load them up again. There's some intrigue here. There's some good storylines. There's some underdog. And this is what we love about sports. This is why we're sports fans, not just NBA fans, but sports fans.
Hell yeah.
It's to feel something and to feel this, and it's great to have it around. It's a couple set of teams here that have great players and great individuals that we get to see for the near future here.
Shout out to both the Pacers and the Thunder. Hell of a 7-game series. Shout out to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Excited to see what he can do next season. Like we've mentioned a few times tonight, there's a couple big trades made in the NBA. First one we want to talk about, the Houston Rockets have just acquired 11-time All-NBA sniper Kevin Durant. Phoenix, in return, receives Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick last night, which became Kaman Malawach from Duke, and 5 second-round picks. Durant, who turns 37 in December, has averaged at least 25 points, shot at least 50% from the floor, and at least 40% from 3 in 3 consecutive seasons. That's an NBA record, fellas. Doug, what do you think about this KD trade? Who wins it? What do you think about Houston's championship chances?
Houston is a team who needed this guy. They needed a guy.
Yeah.
And I know the biggest thing about KD, everybody's going to say, well, he's old. Kevin Durant can still score.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Not a lot of miles on those legs.
Yeah. He's got, I think I saw a stat. He was over 40% from 3-point range. He's a 7-foot wing who can still score inside. He can shoot outside. Mm-hmm. And the defense is going to be, again, you're getting rid of a defensive player who was all over the place, but KD knows what's happening here. In my opinion, KD puts this Rockets team to the next level of they're on a championship path. This is their idea of getting to the next level to win a championship.
Let's not forget, the Rockets were the number 2 seed this year in the playoffs. Number 2 seeds, they're knocking on the door already. I like KD's fit next to Alperen Şengün, already an all-star. Maybe, Walmart Jokic is what they might call him.
Great name.
And I like Amen Thompson, too. Amen Thompson, he's long, he's athletic, he's tough. Nolan, who won this trade, and what do you think about KD's fit in Houston?
Well, I'm gonna rag on Doug for stealing my thunder.
Uh-oh.
See what I did there? No, you hit on it. I'm gonna, my gut reaction is the Rockets run this by no contest because I don't know what the Suns are doing. The Suns don't know what they're doing.
No.
They the Bradley Beal stuff, just the history. On paper, Doug laid it out. This looks good. Getting those guys back, getting off some cap, getting their cap situation we're going to talk about here in a little bit in order to kind of rebuild and reset. It obviously wasn't working. So on paper, looks good. I got no faith in that yet. I got no faith in what they're doing yet. So I would say this was a no contest, but also Doug laid it out. It was great for the Rockets. They needed that clutch guy.
Mm-hmm.
And also one of the best nicknames in the NBA, the Slim Reaper, even though he doesn't like that name.
It's still so fucking good though, dude.
For an insane scorer, he's silky score. He's right up there with one of the best scorers that's ever played. He's got some other stuff in his game, but Doug hit on. He knows when to score. He knows when to go inside. He knows when to take over. He knows when to sit back. He's gonna help those younger guys know when it gets playoff ball what to do, and when they need a bucket, he's gonna go get it.
Yep.
And then the Thunder that Doug did score, I wrote it down right as we started this. Ime Udoka, well-respected coach, ex-Celtic. They've got a good program there, and I think Kevin Durant's going to like that situation, which means you're going to get, Kevin Durant who's motivated. You're going to get Kevin Durant who's on, and that's the Kevin Durant that is one of the best players that have ever played. He would have that mantle. He'd be right up there if he'd always been in that situation. I think he's not been in those situations a few times. So on paper, he's 37. He's had some injuries. He maybe had – you got to look at it. His numbers are still fantastic in Phoenix. Even though everybody's like, he didn't do that well in Phoenix. Those numbers are still great.
Yeah.
And so he's got that in him. He's got the kind of game that translates to being older. He's not that I'm going to just bowl you over type guy. So his smarts, good situation, great for the Rockets. And they were the number 2 seed, so how can you count them out?
100%.
So that's my thing here is I was going to say Rockets by default, but I still think Rockets did really well with this trade.
Phoenix finished 36-46 last season, 11th in the West, with the highest payroll in NBA history. Brad, I think you agree with all of us that Houston won this trade. But what the hell's going on in Phoenix?
It's a new owner. Matt Ishbia, it's some of these guys that have new money. They think just because they made money, they can make money in everything. And turns out not everyone can, which is why we have a bunch of dog shit franchises within the NBA. I mean, Michael Jordan is a great...
But I do have to say, he cares.
He does.
He's not there to just make money. He wants to win.
Oh.
And that's a good thing.
So did Michael Jordan. How'd that work for Charlotte? Adam Morrison, he's still balling, right? He's just lighting up the
Best
NBA right
mustache in the
now.
league.
He's just fucking tearing it up for 40 points a game right now, right?
Dog.
Oh, wait. He never fucking played. Jesus. Yeah, so it's one of those things. Not everyone is, just because you're a genius in finance and this, that, and the other, doesn't mean it translates to running an NBA team. So I think they totally screwed the pooch. The whole joke forever was once the Wizards got fucking pwned by Beal in that stupid ass no trade clause, who the fuck would be dumb enough to take over for it? Phoenix was like, we dumb. I got you. And you can't build a team just off 3 wings. It's not going to work. Especially one of them not being that large or healthy ever in Beal. Like that's a cancer contract, That ruined the team there. So, in all honesty, I think just like you guys, obviously Houston, Doug was saying, lost defense, Dylan Brooks, sure. That's like, but removing Dylan Brooks is like removing a tumor. Sure, it'll destroy things around the area, but it'll eventually get to your team too. Like he's a piece of shit. Like he sucks. He's
Well,
like,
and I was just gonna say,
yeah,
who's
he's like,
signing up? Who's signing up for that?
yeah, he's
Phoenix.
new.
Phoenix says, "I'll take him."
He's new Lance Stevenson. Okay, that's what he is.
comparison.
Lance Stevenson 2.0. That's what he is.
comparison.
Just
I'd call him the Walmart Ron Artest.
yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
Either one, I'm taking it. So yeah, like okay, they keep Thompson, Şengün, KD. That is a tall, multifaceted team, and that is what works in the NBA now. It's not the super team. It's what happened as soon as LeBron got to the NBA. We need players that can do everything. Whichever team has the most players to do everything wins now. Not just center, off guard, point guard. No, we need 5 guys that can score, rebound, defend, shoot, boom. That's how you win now. Get a bunch of 6'8" guys. You get 5 LeBrons on the floor, you win every game. I don't care what the other team is. Okay? And so that is the way the NBA is trending. So the more you get the guys in that ilk, which I'm going to bring up later when we talk about the draft, I think that's how you win nowadays.
Well, and Brad, we just talked about the Thunder's all-world defense. You listed Beal, Booker, and we just talked about, as great as Durant is, not a fantastic defender. A good defender.
Yeah, good.
But I'm just saying, those other two guys
good.
are not good defenders.
No.
And so when your 3 best players are all 3 offense-only players, does not make a championship.
I think we're all in agreement. Houston won this Kevin Durant trade. I just hope Devin Booker's not getting wasted. I just hope he's not getting wasted in there in Phoenix. Another
He probably
big
is
move.
getting wasted since Durant's leaving. I'd get drunk as fuck if he left my team.
Didn't he used to date a Kardashian?
Yeah,
All of them?
maybe.
There could be worse things in life.
There's probably a video.
Another big trade in the NBA recently. The Orlando Magic have acquired sharpshooter Desmond Bane from the Grizz for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, a first-round pick swap, and 4 first-round picks. My goodness. Bane is a career 41% three-point shooter through 5 seasons in Memphis.
Lou
that's
Dort.
solid. So was Lou Dort last season.
So he's Lou Dort. Gotcha. Just checking. Stats.
Bane
numbers,
last year
Math.
averaged 19 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. That's impressive. But, fellas, it's not an all-star. It's not all NBA. 4 first-round picks, my goodness. I love the fit of Bane next to Paolo, next to Franz. The shooting is what they needed. Orlando last season shot 31.8% from deep. That was the worst three-point percentage from any team since the Lakers in 2016. They need shooting there in Orlando. Brad, coming to you here first. Is 4 first-rounders and a first-round pick swap too much for Desmond Bane? Or does it not matter since he's the piece the Magic have been missing?
Well, I think this has a lot to do with the NBA structure as a whole and how everything's changed. It's like a lot of people make jokes about how picks don't matter anymore because they really don't. Because they swap teams so many goddamn times that, 4 first-round picks, they might have 5 next year back, So it's really hard to judge
took
anymore.
5 in the first round this year.
Yeah.
They're not any better.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know what to think of it anymore. It's crazy, but they're doing this shit all the time, and these picks are going all over the place. And being that there's only 2 rounds, it's all a crapshoot. It's really they're just gambling. They're playing blackjack. They're playing craps. They're just rolling the dice and see what works. Because that's all it is. We don't know what any of these guys are going to be. And if you know a guy is a guy, because how many top 10 players. Just think of the historic rounds in NBA draft history. Like we're LeBron, Wade, Melo, like all those drafts where they all came out and the guys in the middle, Darko Milicic. Like, the fuck? Like, how many of those are there?
Adam Morrison.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Michael Jordan, best basketball player ever. He clearly sees talent. It's obvious. And having Adam Morrison, either that or he was confused that he wanted a porn star and a musician to play basketball at the same time.
A musician.
I'm not sure. It looks like a porn star and named after a musician, I'm pretty sure. But I don't know. It's fucked up. Either way, like, I don't know. I think, in my opinion, like, I loved what the Magic did, actually, because they're doing what the formula is that the Pacers have done. Lots of other teams are doing now. Young, good, building blocks. What were they missing? They're like low 20s in 3-point percentage last year. And that, what's that?
31.8, I believe.
Yeah. So the one thing they were missing as a playoff team was 3-point shooting. And this is a guy that shoots basically as good as Lou Dort. And so that's someone you're going to want on your team. Because Lou Dort is good at shooting 3-pointers. Right, Nolan?
Get a jersey. Take down the Hoiberg jersey and put Dort up there. Finals.
I mean, that's got to be pretty close to Fred Hoiberg's 3-point career percentage. I mean, come on.
Give you a month. This trade reminds me of the Mikal Bridges trade last summer. All those first-round picks for a role player. Nolan, who won this trade, Orlando or Memphis?
I don't have a lot on this trade that hasn't been said. On the surface, Bane. Brad said it right. You went and got a known commodity here. Here's where I'm going to call it, and we lost Doug again. Welcome back, Steve. But
he's still here. He can hear us too. That's what's fun. But we can't see him. Yeah.
No, here's where this does it to me. And Doug wants to hear my tin hat theory on the Luka trade. What is any player's value now? That's what this throws it in. You got the Luka trade, which was what it was, and Bane is 4 first-round picks and a swap.
Right.
I don't know what's worth what, and and to Brad's point, I don't know that maybe firsts aren't worth what there used to be, and that's why it doesn't do this. And maybe the numbers matter more, both the player numbers and the salary numbers and team building, which I think is fantastic. But also, there's got to be some balance there with, you got to have something for these picks to be worth something. But the way that they move around, so. That's really where I'm at on this is I just don't know what the market is for anybody anymore. So when we think about things going forward, who's in on a player because, they don't have draft picks. Well, maybe it doesn't matter. Exactly. The market's the market now. So on a surface, it's probably the Magic here. They went and got what they needed and they knew what they wanted and they seemed to have a vision. And going back to what we just talked about, the KD trade and why Phoenix is so messed up, I don't know that they have a vision. And I think that's the most part of the battle here is if you're just shooting from the hip, shotgun, it doesn't work out in the NBA. At least if you have a vision, you might fail. And the Magic seemed to have a vision and went and got what they thought was going to fill their vision there. And I applaud them for that, and that's why I think they won.
Definitely remains to be seen about this trade. If Orlando makes a finals run, then it was well worth the 4 first-round picks. Right now, I'm going to lean towards Memphis. I'm going to go off you guys a little bit. I'm going to lean towards Memphis, see who they can get with those picks, if they can combo those. We'll see about it. Just too many picks for a guy who's never even been an All-Star. This is too many for me. Doug, I see you nodding. Are you with me on that?
Yeah, this guy's never been an All-Star. The Magic emptied the clip on this guy. Now, with that being said, they had a hole to be filled, and this guy fills it. I mean, they're terrible making shots from the outside. Obviously, he is a shot maker. The East is wide open, right? I mean, the East now with Tatum, he's going to be out for who knows how long. We got Haliburton now out. The East is up for grabs. So the Magic are going out, getting the guy who fills a hole that need filled, and we'll see what happens. Like
filling it right now, not 4 years from now when Haliburton and Tatum are back.
100%. Like that's what I'm saying. So it is a haul. Like I said, they their assets are, I mean, they shipped them all out. So we'll see what happens. But this is a hole they needed filled. They filled it. And now moving forward, I mean, it's kind of up for grabs. We'll see what happens.
Couple more trades we just want to hit on quickly here. Our guy, Nolan, our Boston representative. The Celtics are tearing it down, man. The Celtics look like they're tearing it down. We've mentioned Tatum with that Achilles too many times already. But they've also moved the two-time champion Drew Holiday back to Portland for Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. Now, I don't know about you guys. I'm a big Drew Holiday fan. He's probably top 5 favorite player for me in the league right now. Just, he's tough. Two-way player, unselfish, just wants to win. I like Drew Holiday a lot. That's a big loss for Boston. And in another move, the Celtics also shipped out Kristaps Porzingis to Atlanta in a 3-team trade. Nolan, obviously coming to you here first. What's going on in Beantown?
It's inevitable. You got the second highest payroll team. We talked about the first one early. We were poised for another run this year. Probably would run it back next year if Tatum doesn't go down, and maybe even the year after that. I can't fault you on anything you said about Holiday. Dude is what you want out of a point guard.
Yeah.
He's that Chris Paul. He's that guy. And really what we'll talk about here when we break down some of the numbers, it had to happen. With some of the new CBA that came into effect in 2024, it's a little more punitive now to keep your teams together. And with a year-long injury to Tatum, you need flexibility. And when we get into it here, as much as I like to see those guys on the team, I liked both of them. They were key to the run, key last year. I thought Drew was one of the best things we did last year. It makes sense to move them on right now, pure numbers-wise, and it puts us in the best position to reload quickly after Tatum's back. And that's really where I have to look at this. I know as a fan, you love players, you love the guys on your team that are good players and good dudes and you know, dogs that are going to fight for you. But at the end of the day, it's a business. And if I want to keep this going and keep having Tatum and Brown have shots in their prime, the numbers make sense that we needed to move on from these two guys. I'm pretty happy they didn't move Brown. They didn't move White. And they've got some intriguing young guys coming in. So we're going to have a rough year next year, I think, but with some flexibility. And that just gives us some money room and some trade room to reload for 27, which is what I'm optimistic about. And I'm interested here in a little bit when we get into it to hear your take from a Pacers fan perspective. They're not quite in the financial predicament that Boston's in, but, you know, Haliburton being gone for a year, those are significant injuries, you know, not a couple months, not coming back in November, December, February. It's maybe playoffs for both of them. Maybe
June
Yeah.
Achilles. I'm not seeing him. I'm not seeing Hallie.
Well, you got Deuce McAllister, who did it in 8 months, but he was 22 at the time. And you got some other folks that come back pretty quick, but I just don't see it. Not at the high level, not after we talk about the Thunder, not after we talk about, you know, the Magic, not after we talk about some of these other teams that are just primed and ready to go. I don't see it.
Now, you mentioned those numbers. Do you want to break those down for us a little bit further?
Yeah, let's go ahead and break those numbers down and then see if that changes any of your takes a little bit here. Classes in session, kids. Let's talk about some numbers. So Brad's going to pull up a chart here that really talks about the CBA. Now, I know not everybody is super excited to hear about the collective bargaining agreement from 2024, but it made some changes in the NBA, and it really affects all the things we've talked about so far. Finals, the draft that we're going to talk about here in a second. And really what you're looking at here is what's the cap structure look like? Luxury tax has been around. We've had it. The NBA has what's called a soft cap, which means you can exceed it. You just got to pay a lot of money. So you got owners like the guy from the Golden State Warriors who just wanted to pay, keep his dynasty rolling. That used to be the only penalty. The more you went, the bigger pay. Well, now you've got the aprons. Keep hearing about these aprons. And no, I'm not talking about the one Brad wears while he's free balling it on Saturday making eggs. I'm talking about tax aprons.
That's Wednesdays. I don't
wear
wear
Wednesdays.
an apron on weekends.
Okay.
I just let the grease burn me.
Well, I can't fault a guy for wanting a healthy breeze on his boys. So anyway, those aprons there on the right, those were new in the 2024 CBA. And when you hear people talk about that second apron, it has some teeth. So Boston is one of those teams in the second apron. There's currently 3 teams in the apron: Boston, Phoenix, and one other one. Can't remember off the top of my head right now.
Cleveland.
Cleveland. Cleveland is also in it. There's also 3 teams that are very close and will be as they make some decisions coming up, and that would be Minnesota, Denver, and one other one there too. I can't remember off the top of my head. So that has got some teeth, and it's coming. And really, as you can see there, it's not just dollar figures. It affects how teams can trade players, how teams can sign players. It really limits that flexibility. And both the tax and the aprons get worse if you repeat. That's that repeater tax you hear about, that repeater apron. So what I'm going to do here is I showed what the CBA says, but I'm going to talk about Boston specifically and why I'm okay with these trades that we moved out. So I'm going to Steve Kornacki it here like it's election night, and I'm going to go to the big board. So as you can see here, this is the Boston Celtics current cap situation. So I'll back up here a little bit so you can see. So we've got Boston, who had a before tax. This is what their payroll looked like before these trades: $227 million. As when Brad pulled that up, that's way over the luxury tax threshold. So they are paying a penalty for being a repeater because they've had that over the threshold for multiple years. So that's a lot of money. However, that's not the problem here. The problem comes into that second apron. They're way over the second apron, and they were going to repeat in the second apron this year if they kept those players. So after the moves, you can see they dropped it down to 201, which not only drops them an apron, but also drops them in the luxury tax. When you look at Kristaps and Giroux, who I put their ages here, are getting up there. Kristaps has got that weird illness they couldn't diagnose, and he's also not been the healthiest guy on the planet. So they're getting up there, and as much as I like Giroux, we were going to pay him a lot of money over the next few years, and he's up there.
I thought you had to do that one. I mean, that was the most obvious one, I think.
Yep. So when you look at it, we've got those guys making that kind of money, and your payroll plus tax this year, if you would have kept the roster intact, $512 million is how much they would have paid to field the team this year.
Nope.
That's a lot of shekels. And so
I get it because they're leprechauns, Irish, and shekels. And,
yeah.
Lucky
So,
charms.
Anyway, when you look at it, and you look at that apron and look at that luxury tax, paying a lot in luxury tax, and they have no flexibility with Tatum out next year. They're restricted on the trades they can make. They're restricted on the exceptions they can use, and many other things that come with that second apron. So by shedding these 2 contracts, and you look at their core over here, you got Brown, Tatum, and White, who are all White's getting up there, but his contract is okay too. They're both still in their prime, all 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
And so by keeping
yeah, come on, Olympians. I mean,
yep.
Yeah.
And by keeping your core there, it takes their new payroll to 238 with tax. That shed almost $210 million by most estimates in tax penalties. Not just payroll, but tax penalties. They shed $210 million by trading these 2 guys. So that's where the numbers are going to go away, and I'm going to tell you why is that good for the Celtics. Why am I okay with that? Tatum's gone next year. He's maybe back for the playoffs. I wouldn't rush him. He's 27 years old.
I wouldn't either.
We just talked about how stacked the Thunder are. We just talked about how wide open the East is. We don't know what's going to happen there. I'm all about this because what happens? We now have draft capital, so it just turned it into some of their picks. They've got some young guys that are pretty intriguing. Baylor Shireman, JT Davis just won G League Player of the Year. They've got some guys. I'm not saying they're going to be all-stars, but what they get to do this year is they get to go into the year. They're off the repeater apron. They're out of the apron. They shed a whole bunch of money. So we'll go into this year, see what our guys can do, give Brown a chance to be that number 1 guy, see who the role players are around him. If things are going well, Just get to the playoffs. Get Tatum back and say, let's put Tatum in with a playoff and see if we can catch lightning. See if we can do it like the Pacers.
Whoa.
If it's not, shut Brown down. Call it a year. Shed some more cap at the trade deadline. And then guess what? In 2027, when Tatum's back full, you now have an ownership group, a brand new ownership group, by the way, as the Celtics were just sold for $6.1 billion. You've got a new ownership group that just saved a whole bunch of money, and now they want to spend it. And they've got 3 stars in their prime, ready to spend and ready to go again. So that's my take on why it's okay. And it's not the ideal. I would have loved to run it back next year with everybody. But with Tatum being out, let's see what we got next year. We've got a chance if things go great. If everything happens, the stars align. We'll see what we can do in the playoffs. If not, shut them down. And we've got money to spend in 2027 to make a run.
Huge NBA episode this week on High Fiber Sports. We got one more NBA topic to talk about. The NBA draft just concluded over here, the 2-day event going off. No surprise at the top. Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper go 1-2. Cooper Flagg is the second youngest player to ever go number 1 overall. LeBron beat him out by 8 days. This guy is so young. He reclassified, skipped his senior year of high school. The first 8 picks of the draft were all freshmen. That's an NBA draft record. 18 total freshmen were selected in the first round. That's also an NBA draft record. There's now 3 schools in the modern draft era to have 3 top 10 picks in the same draft. Duke did it this year with Cooper, Khan, and Kaman. Duke also did it in 2019 with Zion, RJ, and Cam. And then Florida did it in 2007, coming off back-to-back rings with Al Horford, Corey Brewer, Joakim Noah. Solid squad there. Rutgers, last nugget here. Rutgers had never had a top 5 pick in school history. They had 2 this year, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. So why the fuck did they suck so bad last year?
Right?
15 and 17 overall, 8 and 12 in the Big Ten. My goodness, Brad, just quick thoughts from this draft, maybe Duke, Rutgers, before we get into some favorite picks.
Well, I mean, I'll go off the course a little bit here and saying I would say dipshit of the year, a.k.a. worst coach of the year, is whoever the fuck Rutgers coach is.
Steve Michael, shout out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fuck that guy. You suck. You suck horribly at your job.
Damn.
You're really bad at it.
Damn.
I don't care if they play the same position. If you have 2 guys going that high in the draft and you have a losing record, you're a loser. You should be fired. Was he?
No.
Unbelievable. All right. Well, whatever. Outside of that, draft, my thoughts on it. I mean, obviously, everyone knew that it was going number 1. My favorite, though, is some people thought was an overdraft, and it kind of harpens back to my point that I was talking about earlier. It is, it looks like Igor, but it's pronounced Yegor, right? Am I right there, Desmond, out of BYU,
Yep.
the 6'9" point guard?
Big.
Yeah. So, shot like 27% from 3 in college, and they said in the combine he was lighting it up. You know what that tells me? The guy's been working on his shot. He already was considered one of the best passers in college basketball in the last several years. I believe I saw a stat, highest average assists per game as a player in college basketball in the last 25 years, 6'9" or over.
Okay.
So the vision, he gains a shot. The shot is the easiest thing to develop. Lou Dort, in case you guys didn't know, Lou Dort shoots 41.2% this last year from 3-point. I don't know if you guys saw that, but he did.
I didn't.
So, like, you can get better at shooting in the NBA, like Lou Dort. And so, let's say Yegor gets to Lou Dort 41.2% level. That's a freaking 6'9" point guard that's doing everything right now. I'm more invested in the development of that. Like I said, harping back to what I said earlier, the 6'8", 6'9" do-it-all guy. That's what you want. Big 12 freshman of the year, BYU average 10, 4 point something, 5.5. Okay, as a freshman, he's young as shit. He's working on his three, obviously. I'd put money in that right now. As far as the worst, New Orleans trading God knows how many picks to move up 10 spots to get Queen out of Maryland.
I like the call out there for Yegor Demon going to Brooklyn. Solid pickup. I had him a little bit lower, but a solid pickup for Brooklyn. Nolan, give me your thoughts on those draft nuggets, the draft overall. Give me your favorite pick. Give me your least favorite pick.
Yeah, we can bypass because I'm guessing Cooper Flag's out of the running for favorite pick because I think that was an inside job.
Cool.
But there's no way that trade was on the up and up given what they vetoed in the past. But moving on from that, it's actually going to really hurt me right now. My favorite pick of the draft was taken by the Miami Heat.
Ooh.
And it pains me to do anything that makes Brad happy.
I like to do.
So I'm gonna butcher these names because my three favorites are actually all foreign players, but Kasparas Jakasuvicius,
Yakachonis.
Again, Brad talked about Desmond, big point guard, played Euroball at a young age. He's developed. He knows how to work. I think he's going to fit the Heat culture really well. I think he's going to fit with that team really well. The fact that I don't know why he slid. I wanted the Celtics to get him, given that we just moved Giroux on. Yeah, so that was my number one right there. I think that's a steal at 20. I think they didn't have to give up anything to move for him, and I think he's going to fit right in with that team and be a solid player that just improves. My other big ones, and this one, I don't know how the rich keep getting richer. The Sorber guy who went to the Thunder at 15.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big. He can play defense. He can rebound. He may not play well. He may not play a lot, and he may not be a first-year contributor. But guess what we talked about 10 minutes ago? They got to move on from Hartenstein in 1 year when his cap number gets too big, and this guy's gonna fill that role perfectly.
He's Hartenstein's backup.
So
right
rinse
now,
and reload.
Yep.
So I love that pick there for them. Sam Presti, just he knows what he's doing. And then the last one is part of the trade we talked about earlier. Again, I don't know what the Suns are doing, but I really like Kaman Malawak. I think one of the youngest players in the draft. Yeah. He's hardly played a lot of basketball. Seems like
14 years old, first time he played basketball.
Seems like a good kid who knows he wants to work for this.
That emotion
he's shown,
from the family.
Yeah, he's shown flashes.
That was dope.
I mean, he's just. I think that was the right call. So if we ragged on him for 50 minutes of this podcast, I think they got that one right. And so hopefully they do something good with him. So those are my three shining moments of the draft. I thought it was fairly kind of a vanilla draft, Not a lot of fireworks.
There weren't a lot of surprises.
But I thought those three stood out as picks to watch going forward. I really didn't see one I really hated, maybe outside of the Chinese kid going into the top 10. Maybe they know something we don't. And you never know with those 7-footers that are from somewhere we don't have a lot of footage. But I got to go, and I think we talked a lot about the good and good kids. Ace Bailey, what are you doing? And his reaction to go into the Jazz and, trying to dictate where he wants to go, be humble.
Right.
You're going to the show.
We don't know if you're good yet.
You're going to the show, and all the, all the tears we talked about that, all the tears we saw. These kids were so excited to be going to the NBA. And you got a kid who's turning down workouts, trying to dictate where he wants to go, coming from a team that Brad just said their coach is terrible for wasting that talent. He might be a talent. Well, guess what? You're going to a Danny Ainge organization, and I hope he knows what he's doing. I don't think I would have touched that kid with a 10-foot pole.
Ace Bailey was definitely my mystery man of the draft. Just not sure about him. Listed at 6'10" at Rutgers, comes out at 6'7" in the combine. I'm not sure about him, but I like the call out of Malawach from Duke. The emotion his mother, his brother had that he had. I love to see it. A lot of tears last night. I love to see it. I love to see young men's dreams coming true. Kasparas Yakichonis, also like that call out. He was my runner-up for favorite pick. I had this dude high, number 9 overall. So the fact that he slips to number 20, I like that pickup for your Miami Heat there, Brad. But my favorite pick of the draft is going to be Nick Clifford going to Sacramento. Now, a lot of people don't know this guy because he played at Colorado State last year. Spent his first 3 years at Colorado, last 2 at Colorado State up in Fort Collins. I got to see him the last 2 years. This dude's a 3-level scorer. Okay, he's aggressive. He averaged 19 points per game last year, 9.6 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. 50% shooting from the floor, 38% from deep. Fellas, this guy is 6'5". I understand it's the Mountain West Conference. I understand it's Colorado State. Nick Clifford is 6'5", averaged 9.6 rebounds. I love that. I love that aggressiveness. He was this year's Mountain West Conference tournament MVP. He took Colorado State to the tournament 2 years ago along with Isaiah Stevens, and he got back to the tournament this year and won a game, beat 5-seed Memphis. He's 23 years old, so I feel like he fits right in with Sacramento. You know, you got Levine, you got DeRozan, you got my guy Sabonis.
Murray.
Keegan Murray, I like him. He could possibly fit right into that.
We're talking about players that are good.
He could possibly. You sleeping on Sabonis now? Don't sleep on my guy DeMonte.
Nah,
No,
he's
Murray.
ragging on
Anyone
Murray
that goes to
'cause he went to
Iowa's a
Iowa.
piece of shit.
Keegan Murray's solid, but I think Nick Clifford could.
He might have solid shits, but he's not a solid basketball player.
I think Nick Clifford could fit in on the wing, possibly be a spark plug off the bench. I like Nick Clifford's fit in Sacramento. You got a veteran, 9.6 rebounds from a guy who's 6'5". Come on, I got to respect that.
That's a guy that
effort.
knows how to
That's
play.
all effort.
That's a guy
That's
who
all
knows
effort.
where to be.
Yeah.
Well, and Colorado State has been no slouch the last few years, dude.
Last 2 years
Like,
went to the tournament, won a game. So respect.
Exactly.
Nolan, you also called out Yang Hansen, the Chinese center, went a little early there. I think to Portland, but
They've been on him forever, though. They talked about they've been scouting him for 3 years, but you just never know. And here's I'm gonna call this a cell phone. If my buddy Mitch, who's a big NBA guy, if he's listening to this, he's gonna yell at me. I was like, "Who's this pudgy kid coming from Real Madrid? He's gonna bust." Well, that turned into Luka Doncic.
gotcha.
So I missed on that one. So the Euros are always Asia, Africa. It's always a mixed bag, and there's always somebody coming out of that. You got Joker,
Well,
you got Giannis, all those guys. I mean, Luka. Even though some of those guys are highly touted, you go to some of the highly touted Darko. I'm trying to think of the other guy who married Adriana Lima, which he done all right
and
for himself.
Giannis, he was the 16th overall pick,
Yep.
and he was considered a gamble.
Yeah.
He was.
So you just don't know when you lack
no.
of exposure over there. So, but I gotta say, a lot of those guys who played professional ball before they come here, so in the Asian League or in the Euro League, they tend to be more ready.
Jan Hansen, he was my runner-up for worst pick. I just thought it was a reach at number 16. Portland, you guys fucking blow anyways. But my worst fit, my biggest reach, you don't want to put this label on anybody, but I was lower on this guy. At number 9 overall, Toronto picked Colin Murray Boyles. Now this is why I don't like to pick. He's 6'6.5". He's a big man, okay? He overpowered dudes in college at South Carolina. He used his physicality to his advantage. That's not going to happen with these grown men in the NBA. He's not going to be able to bully guys at 6'6.5". And he also can't shoot. 2 years at South Carolina, 23% from three. He's a big man at 6'6". He can't shoot. I don't want to.
What are you seeing? Yeah.
I want a starter. I want a starter if I'm picking in the top 10. Colin Murray Boyles, number 9 to Toronto. I'm just not sure how he fits with Scotty Barnes, R.J. Barrett, Brandon Ingram.
You know who this reminds me of? Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Y'all remember him?
I remember him.
Oh, yeah.
Off the bench. He was top 5. Another Michael Jordan guy, right?
Charlotte.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
Dude couldn't shoot a lick.
Michael Jordan
I think
sucks
he
at
was a
one
little
thing.
taller. He was a little taller than 6'6", but couldn't shoot a lick. And yeah, he had a journeyman career, but that kid was supposed to be
He sucked.
phenom and a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Not there in the
100%,
modern NBA.
If I gotta pick a pick a reach, pick a bad fit, one that I don't really see working out. Colin Murray boils to Toronto at number 9 is the guy for me.
You know, I didn't dig into that one as much, but Matt, I think that's like outside of like what I already said for mine. That I would put that as my number 2. Yeah, that was horrid. Yeah, I kind of passed over that one, almost because he in general is so
easy to pass
right.
over.
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, I didn't know much about him, but I buy your take, Matt. I buy your take.
Well, I love the NBA draft every year, fellas. The emotions, a lot of tears last night, as Jay Billis mentioned in his 20-some years doing the draft. He didn't think he saw as many tears as he did last night, and I love to see it. And if you're wanting to hear a little bit more, I did a little short mini pod, keeping it breezy, little spin-off on the NBA draft. Go back and watch that if you're interested, but just love the NBA draft. Love seeing these guys' dreams come true. Let's finish up here this week on High Fiber Sports with a little bit of baseball talk. You know, we got our Boston representative, Nolan, here. There was a big move made in Beantown. Rafael Devers was moved to the San Francisco Giants. The 28-year-old three-time All-Star Devers. Big-time player in Boston. They moved him.
Keeps a big-time dip in his mouth, too.
They moved him to San Francisco in exchange for Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, which I believe they already sent down to AAA, correct me if I'm wrong, outfield prospect James Tibbs, and pitching prospect Jose Bello, only 20 years old. Nolan, obviously coming to you here. Is that return enough for you and Rafael Devers?
My answer is no, but this is also a qualified no. Actually, my answer is hell no, but this is a qualified hell no. And this is just, it's commiserate of what Boston's doing right now. And as a lifelong Boston fan, as good as I've had it for the past 15 years, finally getting one and then getting a few more, I don't know what John Henry's doing. He all of a sudden has seemed to go from a super fan, soul of Boston, understanding what's going on in a big market MLB team, to a money-hungry, finance-first owner of 10 teams. If you're not familiar with the Fenway Sports Group, who John Henry is the chair of, they own a lot of teams. They own Liverpool. They own some racing teams. That's what he cares about more, is his portfolio, than he cares about the Red Sox.
Big racist.
What's that?
Big into racing. He's big into racing. Big racist.
Well, that's kind of a Boston shtick, so I don't know. Maybe if the shoe fits. But, you know, it goes back to the Betts trade. It goes back to the Xander trade. Now, Xander, you know, seemed to be kind of at the end of his leash. He's still a good player, but he's not the player he was in Boston. But Betts is still an all-world player for the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I think Devers, you know, the babyface assassin, he's going to hit bombs. He started so slow this year, but you look at his numbers after that, most walks in the MLB. His percentage went way up. He hits bombs. He hits for power. You know, he's your middle of the lineup hitter, and that's a premium in today's MLB. Now, that's not a return for that kind of guy.
No.
So what I'm going to say is hell no. And I don't know what Boston's doing, because was it purely a salary cap dump? And are they going to return it back into the team with some pitching, some big pitching moves? There's some big names out there in the pitching market that are going to be up for trade, you know, before the deadline here. But here's my question. He's a big hitter. That's what the MLB is all about right now. Every other team out there wants him. You couldn't shop him. You couldn't ask other teams what you might get for him. Maybe 4 first rounders and a pick swap. You know, if this is the NBA.
No, that would be 1,700 first rounders.
Okay.
And 47 picks.
Throwing some hot dogs and we got ourselves a deal. So that's really where I'm at. I don't like the way that things have gone down with him this year as a Boston fan. He doesn't seem like he's a Boston guy. There's a culture about the Boston team, and that wasn't it. So am I sad to see that go? Am I not understanding why you want to move on from him if you're Boston? No, but I think they could have gotten a lot more from him. Now, this trade becomes a win if they take that $250 million that he was owed and turn it into a couple pitching prospect or a couple pitchers here, big ticket items, and re-aggregate that. I'm all for it. This trade's going to look like a win for Boston. If they don't, it's just another in a long line of recent money dumps that show, to Brad's point earlier, there's a whole lot of uncompetitive teams in the MLB, and it's not quite the NBA, and that is real sad as a Boston team from a big market, fan-crazy city where we bleed Red Sox Nation, and that's where I'm at on it.
I like Rafael Devers, guys. I had him in fantasy last year. Too bad I couldn't keep him around, but I think the Giants won this deal. Obviously, they've been trying to spend their money the last couple off seasons, and no one wants to take their money. Finally, they get Devers in town, and I don't think they gave up that much. I don't think they gave up that much.
They did not.
Like you said, Nolan, anybody would take Rafael Devers. You got to shop him around a little bit more than that. Brad, final thoughts on this Rafael Devers move?
Well, my final thoughts are always my final thoughts on baseball are, and that's the fact that get up with the times, guys. Make this more competitive. When you have half of your league has no chance to win every year unless a miracle happens, it's not fun to watch. The NBA, again, I know I'm going back to it, even though my favorite sport to watch is NFL football. I love the NFL. I love it. It's my favorite. But the NBA has got every team in every city. We get the right GM, the right coach, and we draft the right players. 4 or 5 years down the road, we can be in championship contention. No other sport can you do that. Baseball, I guess you can if you have a fuck ton of money. That's it. And so with what baseball's doing, hell, I don't know. I don't know if with the Devers situation, if it was an internal conversation that really made it untenable for any of them to exist. Because otherwise, I don't understand the compensation or what you just signed it. I don't get it. None of it makes any sense to me, production-wise, whatever. And you see, Soto going to the Mets and now tearing it up when everyone's like, oh, what a waste of money. It's oh, wait a minute. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. He's doing it now.
Yep.
It just took him a minute. I don't know. I think it's just some knee-jerk reactions or all financial. It's one of the two, but either way, I don't agree with it.
Well, that's going to do us this week for High Fiber Sports. We appreciate everybody coming out. Please like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you think was funny, what we could do better. If you got something, if you got a nugget for us, we want to know. We appreciate Nolan, our guy, our Boston representative coming out here. Nolan, last words for the people. What do you got?
I just say thanks for having me on, boys. It's been a blast. It's good to talk in these exciting times of sports. Feel bad for Haliburton, but excited for where the NBA is going. And I'm excited to come back next time. And I'll say shoot the shit with you on High Fiber Sports.
Because of poop. It's the poop.
I'm glad you made that kindergarten connection, Brad. You read it at first grade level.
In the logo, and then so it makes sense.
Big NBA episode here. We hope everybody enjoys it. Like you said, Haliburton. My goodness, I shed tears. I shed tears when it went down. I didn't give up on my Pacers. Obviously, we had that halftime lead. I didn't give up on us, but definitely shed some tears on Sunday night. Brad, take us home. Put us to bed, brother.
Again, great to be back, fellas. I'm glad you guys could all get your surgeries to make you guys feel better about yourselves. Unfortunately, obviously, as you guys have noticed, we lost Doug for the last part of this episode. One of his tit stitches came out, and so he was starting to bleed to death, and so he had to go to the emergency room to get his tit worked on. Hopefully he's fine. I assume so. If not, whatever. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys being on here, and as they say, why fart and waste it when you can burp and taste it?
But an odd swear word here, there isn't gonna.
No. We swear all the time.
Swear word, a good penis joke, those are fun.
Cock joke. Well, and we are a poop themed show, so anything fecal matter is right in our wheelhouse.
If you watch the dong dinger going.
Yeah, if you watch episode 1, you would. The dong references are fine.
Yeah, you do need to watch that one.
So why are we not calling this Fun with Feces? I believe there's a children's book about how to potty train your children.
You got a book? It's titled
I
Fun
don't
with
have
Feces?
any kids. I think there's a I think there's a book about it.
Nolan, who has no children's like, I'm pretty sure there's a book out there. It's called Feces. Fun with Feces. I don't know. I think
I don't have any kids. I just like to masturbate to it.
Yeah, I've just got it. Brad, do I sound
like,
good to
I'm
you?
doing it for my Pizza Hut reading club this summer. I wanted my first little pan pizza. It was fourth grade level.